And I just talked about James Harden. Now I want to talk about Kevin Durant once again because I want to make something very clear. Kevin Durant is the Brooklyn Nets' best player as well as their most important player and most valuable player, okay? If I'm defending the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant are on the floor, Kevin Durant is the one guy I want to try to take away. And if I'm the Brooklyn Nets organization, he's the one star that I know I cannot afford to lose, okay? As good as James Harden is, he has not proven he can win a championship as the number one option on a championship team. He just hasn't proven it. And I've defended James Harden in the past, but he's had some choke jobs in the playoffs, okay? Even though James Harden to me is still a top 5 player in the world, even though James Harden to me is not a playoff choker, we've seen James Harden in the playoffs consistently, and he's had chances to get over the hump. We've seen him be a lesser version of himself, unfortunately, okay? And, we're in this world where we like to debate things and argue on Twitter about who's the most important player, who's the best player, who's the most valuable player. And people, when Kevin Durant was on the Golden State Warriors, they argued, okay, Kevin Durant might be the best player on the Golden State Warriors, but Steph Curry's the most valuable. He's the most important player. And I said to those people, no, Kevin Durant's both. Kevin Durant, when he was in Golden State, was both the best player and the most important player, and thirdly, the most valuable player on that team because he's just that good. Kevin Durant is in the conversation for being the most skilled and most talented basketball player to ever live. He's, at least to me, the most talented scorer in NBA history. And Harden is the only one right now that really challenges Durant on the Brooklyn Nets roster for who's really the best player on the team. But when you compare James Harden and Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant's a better shooter. He's a more efficient shooter. He's the better defender. He's the better rebounder. He's just as good from the free throw line as James Harden. He's a willing passer. While he's not, the passer that James Harden is, he's a willing passer. He can facilitate an offense. And I've seen Kevin Durant close out games and be clutch in the playoffs consistently. James Harden was not a closer and was not a clutch player with the Houston Rockets in the playoffs. And part of that wasn't all his fault because he didn't always quite have the coaching staff and the support he needed in Houston. I will admit that. But we've seen Kevin Durant in the playoffs be an even better version of himself at times, We've seen him win multiple NBA Finals MVPs. He should have won 3 straight NBA Finals MVPs if he didn't get hurt, in the 2019 playoffs. They would have beaten the Toronto Raptors in the NBA Finals, And even back in Oklahoma City when James Harden and Kevin Durant were on the same team, Kevin Durant was by far the best player on the team. And he was the reason the Oklahoma City Thunder got to the NBA Finals. He was the leader of that team, okay? And even this year, Kevin Durant, you've seen him and James Harden on the same court playing for the same team in the playoffs. Kevin Durant's been the better player. He just has. Look at the numbers. Watch the games. Look at the eye test, Kevin Durant is 3rd all-time in points per game in the playoffs, only trailing Allen Iverson and Michael Jordan. Kevin Durant is an historically great player. And people have said Kevin Durant can't carry a team. That is a bunch of baloney. Because Kevin Durant is definitely more than talented enough to carry a team based on his skill set and based on the fact that he's the best player in the world. I'd imagine the best player in the world has the ability to carry a team to the playoffs. And we even saw in 2014 when he won the league MVP, Russell Westbrook missed more than half of the season. And the Oklahoma City Thunder had no other all-star on the team. And Kevin Durant put them on his back and nearly won 60 games. Okay? So I don't want to hear that Kevin Durant can't carry a team. Kevin Durant is the best player on the Brooklyn Nets. He's the most important player, and he's the most valuable player. And if the Brooklyn Nets are going to win a championship, as long as they have Kevin Durant on their roster, I'm not going to say it's a guarantee, but it's pretty darn close. Now, if you have James Harden and Kyrie Irving, you will be in contention, but you probably will somehow come short of a championship because James Harden has shown in his career in the past, even though he's an all-time great player and he could break the spell one day, He just has not been a better playoff performer than Kevin Durant. Point blank, period. That's how I feel about Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets overall.
Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.